It started with a scream that sliced through the frozen silence of Cortina, a moment that lasted only seconds, but changed everything for Lindsey Vonn. Everyone saw the fall. What nobody knew was what happened after the cameras cut away. On the snow, Lindsey couldn't move, not an inch. Her voice cracked as she begged for anyone, to take her skis off. Her body wasn't just broken, it was shutting down. And in that moment, the most dominant skier of her generation was no longer thinking about medals. She was thinking about survival. Inside the clinic, things got even darker. The pain was so violent that she began to sweat, scream, and yell for the doctors to get her out of there. She described it later with a chilling clarity. The pain was so blinding, so overwhelming that it burned itself into her memory. It felt endless, and it was only getting worse. Her leg began to swell dangerously. Team USA's doctor looked at her and realized this wasn't just a bad injury. If they didn't act immediately, Lindsey Vonn could lose the function of her leg. Or the leg entirely. He operated the same night. Then again. And again. 5 surgeries later, Lindsey opened her eyes, alive but forever changed. And while she tried to process the horror she had lived through, her phone began to explode. Messages, calls, athletes, celebrities, people she had inspired her whole life were suddenly trying to give something back. But one message stood out, a letter, signed on February 16th, from Prince William. He had watched her fall, and he wrote that he felt compelled, personally, to send his heartfelt wishes for her recovery. But the part that hit Lindsey the hardest wasn't the royal signature. It was the sentence where William praised her courage, her resilience, and the way she stood at the start gate with no regret, even after tearing her ACL just 9 days before the race. He wrote that this fearlessness was why she had inspired so many people around the world, including him. And as if the letter weren't personal enough, at the bottom, he added a message in blue ink, handwritten, just for her. Lindsey said the letter meant more than she could express. Enough that she sent an invitation back. She told him that if he ever wanted to ski with his family, she'd take them. Not as the champion, not as the legend, but as a friend. She joked that it might take some time before she's even able to stand on skis again, but the offer stands. Yet behind that humor, there's a truth Lindsey can't shake. People won't remember that she came into these Olympics ranked number 1. They won't remember the victories that no woman in history had achieved before her. They won't remember that she was winning, truly winning, right until the moment her body gave out. Many will only remember the fall, but she refuses to be defined by it. Because this comeback, the one that brought her out of retirement after knee replacements and years of pain, wasn't supposed to be possible. And then she did it anyway. In December 2025, she won a World Cup downhill at age 41, becoming the oldest winner in history. A record that shattered expectations and silenced every voice that ever said, "You're done." 9 days before the Olympics, she tore her ACL. And still, she raced. Because that's who she is. The woman who showed up when everyone else would have walked away. And yes, she paid the highest price for it. But Lindsey Vonn has never been afraid of paying the price. She's only afraid of stopping before the finish line. So now she faces the hardest comeback of her life. Not on skis, but in her mind. Not chasing a podium, but chasing herself. And if you followed her journey all these years, you know one thing for sure. Lindsey Vonn doesn't come back to participate. She comes back to win. If you want more deep behind-the-scenes stories like this, stories the headlines never tell you, make sure you stick with the channel, tap follow, and stay with me. Because the next chapter in this story is only just beginning.